Welcome back. Now, the latest report from the National Pension Commission indicates that the total pension funds invested in infrastructure rose to 2.22 billion naira as of the end of February, amounting to about 0.04% of the total pension assets. Our pension is set to be one of the sectors of the economy that holds great promise. Now, to discuss this further, I'm being joined by an expert in pension matters and the Director of Research and Advocacy at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Vincent Nwani. Thank you, Vincent, for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me in your program.
Yeah, so how would you describe the current state of the pension industry?
Well, that industry is a great industry. For me, it holds a lot of promise, not just for players and operators in that industry, but for the whole country. Just like you alluded, that the industry is beginning to contribute to our infrastructure drive and infrastructure initiative, but still at the starting point. You know, having said that, the industry over time since 2006, when it was, can I say, reformed, have come to stay. Good regulation coming from the industry regulator, that is PENCOM. You know, currently, just by providing a general perspective, we have about 21 operators in the PFA, Pension Fund Administration, about 4 PFCs, that you know, and about 5 closed pension. You know, the structure of the industry is fair, though some concern raised that you have about 3 operators. We call them the tier 1 operators, controlling a large percentage of the market, both in the number of contributors and in the total asset contributed. In terms of number of contributors, the top three in that industry accounts for about 56% of market share. You know, that's a little bit top heavy. But having said that, it's well regulated. A lot of things are happening in that sector, and there are also concerns that they need to brace up to be able to serve the infrastructure market of Nigeria a little bit better, you know, and also infrastructure providers and government that package infrastructure deals should also try to meet up with the regulatory provision, because recently the PENCOM came out with guideline, and a great guideline by expanding investment window, investment portfolio. Yeah. You know, we call it multi-level investment scheme.
Okay, well, before we get to some of those details, you talked about the regulations and all that. So you, as an expert in pension issues, pension matters, are you satisfied with the policy there and all the regulatory realities you have seen in the industry? Are you satisfied with it?
I will answer yes. Of course, there is always room for improvement. You know, this is an industry that was able to hold itself during the recession, during the global economic financial crisis we passed through 2009 to 10, 11, and even the current recession. You know, we find out that total asset did not really decline in line with all the realities in the financial sector. Fine. So PENCOM have done a good job, and the industry was just starting. They were able to shield investors or to shield contributors in release like me and you from losing our assets that we have contributed, because this is the money we need to take care of ourselves when we retire or when we are a little bit old. So you don't want to lose such important money. You know, they've made sure that operators, as the PFA, invest this money in a secured environment, government bond, you know, treasury bills, and a little exposure, about 20–24%, according to the regulation in the equity. And people have been clamoring for a lot of things, that it is time for regulators to embrace, can I say, global best practices, such that you have a multi-level investment fund trying to recategorize the demography of the contributors, where people that are getting old can stay with this lesser risk asset and also lower return, while younger generation in the scheme can invest in equities or invest in more profitable asset classes, but they will be a little bit risky. So we've been clamoring for this, but recently Pension was able to listen to us and also come up with a very broad regulation, to an extent that our pension fund in Nigeria can even be used for offshore assets or offshore investment right now. You know, a lot of things have really taken shape as far as regulation is concerned. It is now left for the operators to catch up with some of these windows they've opened for investment and for reporting and for regulation. And one of them is digitalization. You know, the operators need to fix their customer service. A lot of issues about processes and filing, especially when they want to pay enrollees. You know, you retire, you lost your job. A lot of payment challenges and delays. We still find that now. And again, one of the new regulations also I've made it very clear that very soon the window of transfer. You know, if you're an if an enrollee is contributing with X PFA, you can switch to maybe Y. You know, that window is coming soon, and we expect operators to brace up, because this is going to be a very big shock in that industry. So people need to compete because of brand. People need to compete because of customer service. People need to compete because of even return on their asset. These are the things enrollees we need to look at and analyze before they know before they take this decision, whether to stay with their current PFA or to switch to the other PFA they feel will give them better return, better security, and also brand perception.
Now, you talked about expansion of investment options.
Yes.
Now, what is the rationale behind this? And if we're talking about expanding investment option, what other areas do you think pension funds should actually go into? Yeah, they're using it on infrastructure. What other investment options are available?
Yes, I think we've got to that point where our pension asset, that is money contributed by enrollees, are used to catalyze or develop this country via infrastructure. This infrastructure can be at the national level, federal government infrastructure, state government infrastructure, even infrastructure provided by private sector through PPP arrangement, as the case may be. You know, so, but the challenge is that the PFAs and PENCON are ready to actually direct this fund. I think we have about 7 trillion plus, 7 trillion naira in the asset contributed right currently. That's a big money. We just have only 2 billion naira invested. That is just too small. We want assets that can qualify. You know, this infrastructure will need to be repackaged so that it is project driven. You know, it is bankable. And you also see the cash flow coming. You know, most of the infrastructure package so far are just riding on, can I say, welfare provision. Some of them are riding on some political consideration, and so we cannot invest our pension assets in those type of assets. So the new regulation have come up to say infrastructure bond released by federal government, by state government, even corporate bonds that qualify. But these bonds must be tied to infrastructure. So it is also left for us to now brace up to package this investment or this asset so that it is bankable and qualify, meet all of these criteria I mentioned. If not, a larger part of pension assets will continue to go into treasury bill, into money market. That again, it is so juicy. You know, it is almost risk-free, and the return for now is very high because the other alternative market, which is the equity market, have been correcting itself over the last 10 years, and we don't know when it will finish correcting itself. So it's a little bit risky, and people are very, very cautious. So the target is for us to use this asset or this fund as a rider to meet our infrastructure supply aspiration as a country.